Hey, so welcome to this video. What I'm going to cover for you is a really simple way to manifest a beautiful relationship for yourself. The reason I'm making this video is that usually the content that I produce is a bit more general, but the clients that I've worked with recently and the people I know, that if you're one of these people in the comments who is in the midst of trying to attract and create and move into a relationship, I hope this story, but also this strategy, if you like, will really help you out. Okay, so let's go into it. So for a bit of context, this is a transition that you can make within yourself in order to move into and start enjoying and living in a really, really loving and beautiful relationship with someone. Okay, now just to give a bit of context here and why I'm someone who you should listen to with this, the only reason being is that I have met my perfect dream partner, right? My wife, Jules. And this process was one that happened in a very natural way. And that's the point I want to make in this video, is that true love, right? True relationships that are built on a foundation of strength happen when you are being the best version of you, being the real version of you. So the point of this is that when we're trying to find a partner, and I know it's so easy in this world of manifestation content to try and think of a technique we need to use, that we need to feel a certain way and picture and feel our future as real, and then we're going to find the person. There's definitely an element of that which is very helpful. But the thing, in my view, that will really help you out is if you can strip away the layers of you that aren't really you. Okay, again, for some context, before I met my wife, I was single for a period of time, but before that, I was in a relationship that ended after about 7 years. And this relationship happened and I learned loads of lessons from it. But one thing that I took away the most from this relationship is that I was wearing a mask for most of the time that I was in it, right? I was trying to be someone and thinking that was, if I could be a certain person, then I would maintain this relationship. And that was just from my upbringing. If I'm honest, I was a bit of a douche back in the day, right? I was a gym loving, like sport playing jock who drunk loads, who partied loads, thought they were quite cool, and turned out that wasn't actually correct. But the point is that that's the sort of mode I thought I had to be in, and that's the sort of person I thought I had to be in order to move into a relationship that would work, right? That would work for me. Nothing could be further from the truth. So after this relationship ended, I went into a period of doing a lot of work on myself. And that meant the main part of this, which I'd want you to take from this, if you're looking for something to maybe work on yourself too, is letting go of a lot of the stuff that I was obviously holding on to try and maintain this image so that I could find the partner, right? So I could be with someone. And weirdly enough, when I met my wife, I wasn't actually looking for a relationship. I was just been working on myself, been learning more about how I could be more like me. And don't get me wrong, there was still a lot of work to do, and we're always becoming like a better version of ourselves. But when you get to this point, what's really cool, this sort of the word now, which is a word that's really in, is authenticity, right? Now, the reason authenticity is so talked about is because it's a really cool way to be, because it's actually who we are. It's our true essence. And when we're our authentic selves, we don't need anyone else. Okay. So that means we can come into a relationship from a place of detachment, but also in a place to actually give, right? And if the circumstances aren't working for us, we can, in a really sort of healthy way, leave that relationship and be detached from any emotional strings that are linked to that. And we can just leave it, right? Because we know who we are. And we can do it in a dignified way. We haven't got to do it in a dramatic way. It's like, no, this is just not for me. I really appreciate you, but this is just not me. Okay. And move on. Think of how many people that you know. I think of people that I've known, and also I've been this person who has become trapped within a relationship because of the emotional attachment we have, because we've built this thing and we kind of faked it to keep it going. So any thought of it falling apart means we're gonna have to deal with this explosion of emotions and all this stuff that's going to come up, and we don't know what to do. But if you're in a relationship and you come from a place of being authentic, right, and to get to being authentic, it is about letting go of the old you, the self that you've built up over the years through conditioning, through programming, through your environment, through the culture maybe that you grew up in as well, that has built this facade and makes you feel like you have to wear a mask in order to get something. In this case, it would be a relationship. So my point to you is, this might sound, I did this video today because I just did it off the cuff. Sometimes I get these days, not everything with me is programmed. I get bored of it and I want to speak from the heart. And this just came up and I thought I need to do a video on this because I know a lot of my clients are going through this process of stepping into the version of themselves that they can also love and be happy with. And as a result, they are then going to attract and be able to move into relationships with people who resonate on that same frequency. Okay? When you are your authentic self, you will start to attract people who appreciate authenticity, right? So I'll say that again. When you are your authentic self, you are going to attract people who appreciate your authenticity. They can see it. They are the same level of awareness, right? And I've noticed this as my level of consciousness has sort of changed over time, from being like a, jock type person, being in the party atmosphere, being really reactive, then moving up to being a grind, hustle, work, everything's about my work, and then evolving into hopefully becoming more of a human, right? A real human, and being more of who I am. I can also see it in people too. And this is why if you spend enough time on social media, I don't know about you, but I get so sick of the majority of content that I see within my feeds. So much of it is either AI or it's fake, or people, even their tone of voice, I know that someone is trying to manipulate me or get something out of me in the process. So I can see through it. And it's the same in relationships. When you can see someone who's genuinely being their authentic selves, they become really attractive. Because if you're that level of awareness too, you know that, that person also doesn't have any like baggage, right? There's not any red flags is the term that's used these days, but there's not. So there's that, you move into that frequency of attracting people who see you for being authentic, and it's a natural match. And it's the same when I met my wife, right? When we met each other, there was no like prerequisites or feeling each other out. And I used to be in that world where I'd always be like standoffish and trying to be cool rather than just being myself, which would probably be more cool in a weird geeky way, right? A nerdy way, whatever way I come across when people meet me. So it's difficult, and this is going to sound a little bit deeper, but if you've ever studied any work by people like David Hawkins or Fred Dodson, and you start to see that this elevation in consciousness, when you start to see the world in a different way, is so helpful for this, because you get to see where people are at. So if you become your authentic self, you can actually see through the facades in people, and you see it in a loving way, right? You don't judge people who've got masks on, who are trying to hold it together, because we've all been that person probably within this lifetime. But when you're at this point in a relationship, you can be the most giving, you can be the most loving, and don't get me wrong, there'll still be sort of arguments or discussions and things that you don't like about what the other person is doing, but it's from a grounded place where you can have a decent conversation about it and work through it, because you genuinely care about that person, because you're giving to the relationship. And you know that life isn't linear in relationships, right? It would be a bit boring. So my ploy to you is to sort of sum this up, because with YouTube videos now, I think, we always expect to be, what's this going to give me? So if there's something I would give to you to say, okay, you watch this and you think, what can I get from this, or what can I take to put into practice, is just have a think about letting go of a lot of the past, right? And a simple way to do this as a practical exercise, this is one of the detachment exercises that I teach, which I really love. What you can do is, if you think of, and you don't have to do this if it's not comfortable for you, but if you were to think of a previous partner, right? And sometimes just bringing up that previous partner into your consciousness. So simply just thinking about them or saying their name, what you'll notice is it will probably, if there's stuff to let go, you will start to feel sensations in your body, right? There might be emotions, there might be memories, there might be thoughts. If you can just sit with that and let whatever comes up come up, and keep that process up, right, for just a couple of days, you'll notice you've let go of that old relationship. Okay, that doesn't hold you, doesn't cling on to you anymore. And this is applicable for so many areas of life. That's why I love teaching this. But if you can go into relationships or notice patterns that you had, or if old memories come up where you feel like you weren't worthy, or you did something wrong in a relationship, even with prospective partners, if you meet someone and think, oh, maybe I've done this wrong, you can just sit with that feeling and sit with that thought and just let whatever wants to come up without suppressing it. Because suppression, again, is when we have that fakeness, right? We've built an image of ourselves because of how the world has taught us and said, right, you need to be like this to function, even though there's nothing further from the truth. We've all done it. And suppression plays into that mask, right? We can't feel this. We don't want to talk about that because this is our image. We've built this. It's the ego, right? This is so important. I can't look at that. Otherwise, that calls into question this identity that I've built. But you aren't your ego. You're not your image. There is an essence to you that can just talk confidently, right? That can be really funny, or whatever it is, whatever gift it is that you have. That's the cool thing about this. That's what being authentic is, your true nature, your true essence. Because that's the sort of trouble, right? Where the majority of things, I remember being in this mindset, my goodness, growing up, when I was super nervous around girls, when I was going through my teenage years, right? I grew really quickly, but was super skinny, had terrible acne when I was younger as well, was a nervous wreck. And in my sort of late teens, I started to get into self-development and I wanted to learn everything I could about being confident, right? Being cool. What do I say at this point? How do I say it at this point? Do you notice how a lot of the content is around that and being charismatic? I remember I signed up for a course to like how to be charismatic. And charismatic people don't learn how to be charismatic. You can build it up and fake it, but true charisma comes from when you strip away all the stuff and the need to try and build an image of who you are and can actually just be yourself, right? At your true essence. And that comes from letting go of the old you and stepping into that new you and trusting in it and believing that that's going to make your life so much better. There's going to be a lot more joy, a lot more peace, right? There's going to be a lot more love. There's going to be more adventure, which you're going to be prepared for. So this is a random ass video that I just wanted to chuck out there because it's important sometimes to get away from the overthinking and the systematic nature of everything and needing this, and these steps and this steps and to push and to drive and to hustle. It's about being you. And I know if that's right now challenging you, or you think, yeah, but how do I be me? That right there is the current image that you've built up, which is trying to work out how to do it. How do I do it? There isn't any doing, right? It's just letting go of the old stuff. If you let go of the old stuff, you actually get back to your baseline nature. And I've spent the majority of my life being fake. And it's a process for me too. But if you'd seen my transformation from how I was when I was in my teens, if you'd ever told me that I would be on video talking about this type of work, I would have completely laughed and gone bright red and been so embarrassed, right? As most teenagers do, but even in my sort of 20s, I'd really struggle with it. I knew it was what I wanted to do, but the image of me was like, nah, I can't do that. And I'm still a work in progress too. But in short, I hope this video helps you see that in becoming more of who you actually are and letting go of the old you and stepping into the real you, you are going to attract people into your life that resonate at the same level. And you're going to see it in them too. And it's going to be natural, right? That's what romance is, in my view. It's this natural, it feels like the universe and God are like working to bring you together. Nothing is forced. There's a natural feeling when you're together, right? It's so cool. And I never thought that was possible until I met my missus. And now it's amazing. So I hope this video was really helpful. Take care. Speak to you soon.